Welcome to something I never thought I'd be making a video about. Shingles. Hundreds of them, thousands of them, tiny little raw pieces of wood that need to all be stained to go onto the doll's house. So let me show you two methods. My name is Mimi and welcome to Dollhouse Drama. If you're building a dollhouse, you will eventually face the bag of shingles. And you're going to think, how bad can it be? Famous last words. Today I'm trying two methods. Method 1, chaotic pot shake. Method 2, slightly more organised tape line. Spoiler, neither is a party, but one is less messy, and at my age, that counts as a win. And this is what they look like after staining. Blue painter's tape, sticky side up. You stick each shingle onto the tape. Yes, each one at a time. I call it tedious. You might call it therapeutic. But anyway, make sure that your oil-based stain is nicely mixed. You have all of your little shingles in a row. Then you take a foam brush. Very important, not a nice brush, foam only, and you paint the stain directly onto the shingles. No pot, no shaking, no airborne stain particles. It takes no time to apply. The stain sits there, it doesn't run everywhere because the tape holds them steady. Very polite. Then you wait for them to dry. And here's the thing, they take up hardly any space, just a strip of tape on a bit of cardboard. Just dab and blot any leftover stain on the top because otherwise it will never dry. Now the catch, when they're dry, you still have to flip each shingle by hand to do the other side. I forgot to hit the record button to show them all up on my table drying, so I just did a mock-up so you could see what it looked like. Next, oil-based stain in a pot. Why? Because I watched someone on YouTube do it and thought, that looks efficient. It is not efficient. You tip the shingles in, you add stain. I did try using a popsicle stick to mix it all up. That didn't work. It was no good. So I ended up putting the lid on. You shake it like a maraca at a children's party. It's really important that you have plenty of drying time, several days, before you actually glue these to your roof. Otherwise they might not stick. Terrible consequences when you remove the lid because it does squirt out everywhere. Safety, I forgot to tell you about safety. Make sure you've got some really good gloves on because oil-based stain is not going to come off your hands. And make sure you do this in a very ventilated room. Otherwise you might be keeling over with fumes. Now you have to get them out, one by one, with your fingers. If you don't have gloves on at this point, your hands are going to resemble the colour of an old garden fence for many years to come. Now you have to try and get them out, separate them because they do stick together in the pot. Kind of rub off some of the excess oil and then lay them all separately on a paper towel like this. It's very boring and it's very tedious. Let me skip and speed this up a little bit for you so you don't fall asleep. Now with a paper towel, or you could use a lint-free cloth, you need to dab all the excess oil off of these. And as you dab, they're going to move and they're going to stick. It's not easy, but we just do our best to remove as much of the excess oil as possible. A few safety tips and things I've learned in my years of doing furniture. Wear gloves, open a window. The stain fumes are not your friend. Neither will be your husband after he walks in and smells the house. Do not do this on a carpet. Do not ask me how I know. And finally, if you get bored, just remember every tiny shingle you stain is one step closer to a finished roof. And a finished roof means you can finally put the doll's house on a shelf and stop explaining to guests why you have 37,000 tiny pieces of wood on your living room floor. Now we have to transfer all of these little shingles to some dry, clean paper towel. So we need to flip them all over because this paper towel which they're on right now is too wet and they won't dry. So we have to transfer them all. This method is messy. It takes up space and you still have to flip every single shingle by hand later anyway. So what are we doing here? Honestly? Wasting time in kitchen roll? And you repeat the process 5,000 times. Not to go into graphic details, but if you do have a robo vacuum cleaner, now is a really good time to switch it off. This is about 1/4 of the bag. I would so have preferred to have used a water-based stain, but because of the shingles so raw, they would probably curl, and I do not want that. I need to keep them nice and flat. So that is the reason for the oil-based stain. Here they are the following day when they're all nice and dry. They look great. So what method do you prefer, or would you do something different? Answer in the comments. Until next time, bye!